Okay, so I have my shapes that these have been in the oven I put mine in for 30 minutes. Anywhere between 15 and 30 are usually good. You can tell now, especially now that they've cooled down, they're a lot more firm. So I'm happy with the feel of these. So now it's time to sand and kind of clean up all your mistakes, any rough edges, any bumps, and you're going to need your sandpaper. There are 3 sheets of sandpaper in your bin. 150 is the roughest grit, 220 is the next grit up, and then 400 is like the least rough. So that'll be the last stage. And I realized, I was doing my nails the other day, and I realized that probably most of you have seen something like this before. It's the same exact concept. You start with the roughest to get any like big bumps or like, jagged parts of your nails smoothed down, and then you like work your way to like a shine or a buff that isn't rough at all. This barely has any grit whatsoever, but it makes it shiny, which is what we do in jewelry making. So I'm going to start with the roughest one. Again, all of these, like the numbers are on the back, so you can always refer to that, but you can also just like feel like that's the roughest one. So that's the one I'm going to start with. And I'm going to set it on the table and just kind of hold it. It doesn't really move that much. And then I'm going to pick up my first piece. I'm not sure which one I really want to start with. This one's good. So I have like some kind of funky bumps on the side here that I want to get rid of. I don't know if you can see that. So this stays on the table. This is what moves. And so I'm going to sand, just like drag on the surface until that's smoothed away. Okay. And I want to do this side too, because that's not exactly what I want. Now you'll notice that as soon as you start working, and it's the same thing with the metal too, like it'll turn, you see how it turns kind of whitish in the areas where I've sanded? That's very normal. That's 100% normal. As you work your way back up to like the 400 grit, some of that will go away, and then once we finish it with acetone and some like polishing wax, it's called Renaissance wax is what we're going to use, and we use it for other types of jewelry making too. As soon as we use that, it'll go back to looking like these really rich colors like we have on the front. Now I don't want to sand the front of this one because I have these cool textures from my fork and that like wood tool that I made some textures with. So I'm really just doing the sides, and then if you feel like, I'm kind of irritated that this happened. I don't know how that happened. But if there's anything on the back that it doesn't feel smooth, I actually like to just do a little bit, kind of level that out. And you can see like the sandpaper touched in most of the area, but not here, here, and here. So I'm just going to keep going until always in the same direction, getting there. So just a little bit more. It looks like it might have sloped down a little bit there. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you need to be wearing a mask when you're doing this. This is a relatively like non-toxic, you don't have to worry about type of material, but you never want to be inhaling dust, like fine particles like this of anything, whether it's metal or clay dust or polymer clay dust. You just don't want to be inhaling that. So please make sure you're wearing a mask. And then what's nice is that I have found that this polymer clay really doesn't rip up. It doesn't hurt your sandpaper like at all. So when you're done and you're like, dang, this whole thing's covered in dust, all you have to do is like, you see how I got all of that right there? And then I'm just going to empty that into my trash can. And also, like, again, make sure your mask is on, but it comes like right off, and then it's totally reusable again. So I hit that with the 150. Now I want my 220 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm probably going to press down like a little less hard, because I'm not trying to get rid of big bumps or imperfections. I'm really just trying to like smooth now. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm hoping that it works for you. Again, the side with all the textures you don't even need to worry about. And then I'm going to do this back side. Yeah, we're getting there. Okay. And then the last one is 400. And sometimes you'll get dust on your hands. You can use your baby wipes again and kind of clean those off, get some of that dust off, and do this last one, this 400. And you can see like less and less comes off. And I'm really not actually pressing that much different. Like it's pretty much the same consistency, but it's just a much finer grit. So it's really not taking off very much at all. All right. So there's still a little bit of this like whiteness from where I sanded, and what we're going to do when we're back in the studio is we're going to use some acetone, which is just nail polish remover, by the way. It's nothing toxic. We're going to use some acetone to kind of like clean, really like get in, like use that chemical to get all the fine particles out, and then we're going to use some wax. But again, that's like in the studio. But that's pretty much where you want to be.